Hello everybody, this is me, Dusty Circuit here, and been wanting to kind of make this video for a little while, but I haven't kind of gotten around to it, and I've tried to do this video a few times, and it didn't turn out quite the way I wanted, but hopefully this take will turn out the way I'd like it to. But anyway, it's just going to be kind of a sort of update slash review of my PC that I had built that I may have talked about in a previous video. And I've owned the PC for roughly 3 to 4 months by now, and uh, so far it's been really been a great computer for me, and basically it meets all my needs as of right now, and I can play pretty much all the games in my Steam library and my Epic Games library. I can play on this computer without any problem, and and most of them or pretty much all of them, I at least get 60 frames per second on average, and even some of them might get up to 100 frames per second, which is pretty cool. And for this video, I'm going to be showing Minecraft performance because this is the game I mostly play. But if any of you guys would want to see performance in other games, feel free to suggest in the comments. Although a couple other games I play a lot, I may also be doing soon. But anyway, you can kind of see already that the frame rate I got in getting in this world. This is just a world I just loaded this just for the purposes of this video. And also there's my specs in F3, and of course I'm running a Ryzen 5 2600 at stock speeds I had, and it isn't overclocked. And I'm also running 16 gigs of RAM. It's out of the box, it's clocked at 2400 megahertz, but I've overclocked it to 3200 because Ryzen prefers faster memory speeds, and I just did that to kind of reap those benefits. And for my graphics card, I'm running an AMD Radeon R9 390 with 8 gigs of VRAM. And it's really cool. That is a 5-year-old graphics card by at this point, and but it still performs admirably today. Although it's basically on par with, I believe, an RX 570 if I had to guess, or at least that's what at least the benchmarks sort of compare very well. And of course all the RX series performs well today, or at least the 470, the 570, and the 480, and the 580, and the 590 are all great performing cards today. And also I don't know about the 290, but the 390 and I bet also the 390X perform admirably just as well. And here's kind of my settings. And I also have Optifine installed because it's, I mean, technically it is a mod that doesn't come pre-installed into the game, but like, it's free and so easy to get that I feel like everybody should have Optifine, especially if you're just on a really slow, like 10-year-old desktop or some laptop that only can get 30 FPS on a good day. You should get Optifine. So, of course, I mostly just have everything at max because my computer can handle that. And of course, as you can see, that I was getting the FPS I was getting was still very, very great. And I have a render distance at 10 chunks because I mostly play on like Artcraft and Artcraft Obsidian, and they both have their view distance kind of at the default of 10 chunks. And I kind of like to keep it at 10 chunks because that kind of still gives me high frame rates. But I guess we could try go up to 16, see what that does for me. But also keep in mind my computer is currently recording 1080p using OBS, and it's also driving two 24-inch 1080p monitors. So, and one of them is a 144 hertz monitor. So it's doing pretty well considering. And I mean, yeah, the FPS does drop with the higher render distance for sure, but I mean, if I was playing in a single player world, I guess this would still be mostly playable. Like say if I was just playing like so, and I wasn't flying around, just kind of playing the game. So it's still mostly playable. But I mean, if you were just turn off the FPS counter, you could still I bet you still wouldn't really be able to tell much of the difference. But so I'll try 32 just to see what happens. Well, my game sort of crashed, but well, I'm back and I'm loading. I'm in 32 chunks right now, but it's really kind of. I mean, the frame rate's still not bad, but it really stutters a lot, and well, I suppose it's not really too bad. But we're down in 50 frames per second, and sometimes dips into the 40s. But also sort of keep in mind this is a second generation Ryzen CPU, and course, third generation and the current Intel may give you better frame rates than this, but this is not bad for a second generation Ryzen, and also a 5-year-old graphics card. But anyway, I think I want to show shaders next. And yeah, it's not bad. Well, I don't actually play with shaders on that often because like when you're actually like playing the game, it's still when I'm actually playing the game, it kind of still tends to my FPS still tends to dip below 60 sometimes, and I'm also not quite a typical player. I also have like a lot of redstone in my base and my bases, and also my base on ACO. If I go there, I tend to dip into 30 frames per second in the areas where it lags the most. But if I turn shaders off, I'm still get 100 FPS. Yeah, but in this kind of setting, it's actually not too bad. And if I pull up of course I also have MSI Afterburner installed, and I have the on-screen display set up, and also a hotkey for that. So if we look at that, you can kind of see basically all my 12 CPU threads, and of course my I also have Chrome and Discord open, so my RAM usage is a little bit higher. But GPU is maxed out for the most part, though it's kind of, at least the clock speed and the usage is kind of bouncing around a little bit. And I have this, basically my computer has two 140 millimeter case fans that are blowing air into the front of the case, and two 140 millimeters sucking air through the top, and then 120 millimeter blowing out the back. And when I first got those parts, and when I put the 390 in my old build and in my old case, and it and it actually, like I can and like I think by now when I'm running shaders right now, I think the temp would be 75 or perhaps more, and I ran Fortnite and the temps even hit 80 degrees Celsius. But But in this case, it actually tops out around, I might get into the low to mid 70s, but it does but no more than that. But also keep in mind that graphics card is it takes a 6-pin and an 8-pin power connector, and it's, I believe, a 275-watt card, so it gets pretty hot, especially if you don't have good airflow. And the other specs to talk about would be, I have a 4 terabyte hard drive and two 1 terabyte NVMe SSDs, and also for my motherboard is of course the Asus ROG B450-F, and of course that motherboard's one of the most featured B450s, and it also has two M.2 slots. So I actually decided to splurge and kind of get two NVMe drives and populate both of those slots. And basically, I have 2 terabytes total of solid state NVMe storage and 4 terabytes of mechanical storage. So in total, I have about 6 terabytes of storage in this PC, which is like triple what I had in my previous PC, which was, I think, around 1600 gigabytes across two hard drives and about 256 gigabytes on an SSD. So, and on a SATA SSD. So I both got more SSD storage and faster SSD storage, which is awesome. And I don't just game on this PC. I also video edit it. I also video edit for my YouTube channel, for which I use HitFilm Express for all my editing, and I'm very pleased with it today. Like currently meets all my needs, and the performance in HitFilm is great. It's I can import like 30-minute long video, and I only have to wait like five like not even like probably 5 seconds for it to import, where on the previous computer it would have taken 20 seconds or more. I'd be sitting there. And if it was a 1 hour long video, it'd be over around 40 seconds. And for that same video on this PC, it would be around 10 seconds, which is just amazing. And of course, scrubbing through the timeline is very smooth, and playback is very smooth, and I've even edited some videos with probably many other clips edited in, and like several like text layers and such added on to the timeline, and this PC has kept up with that so far, though I don't really do very much with effects, and of course, I don't use Adobe After Effects because I don't use Adobe Premiere at all. I'm using HitFilm, and And it's just with this on this PC, I'm able to game, video edit, even live stream without any problems. And yeah. Another thing I want to like to show you is TNT, because that seems to be one of the best things just to benchmark how your computer performs. Because of course it's one of the laggiest things in the game. And it really performs admirably. Well, let's give it more of a challenge. Not bad. And yeah, this really kind of shows how this the power of this computer. It's really nice. And of course, this is not my first time I built a PC myself. I had my previous PC, which of course I also got the parts for that from somebody who was generous enough to send me computer parts. And also same with this PC. But of course, that was my FX 6300 and RX 460 base build, and also kind of before when I first got the parts from Val, which is how I built this computer. I first put the 390 into that computer and just kind of used that until I built this computer. And yeah. And that's the other thing I could show you is going into the Nether. And as you can see, it's this is also performing pretty well here. Not sure really what else to say. I feel it kind of speaks for itself. And this also can also try shaders here as well. And it's also performing pretty well. And yeah. In the process of actually building the computer, of course, there are some kind of like there's just a few kind of difficult things along the way, but for the most part, it's just building the computer yourself is, it's very rewarding. Like, I mean, of course, my first time building the computer with the FX 6300 build was, like, of course, I mostly just went off my previous experience taking apart computers and also what I learned watching YouTube, and it's like and the process of it was kind of, I guess, a little bit kind of especially when you're doing it your first time. It's, I guess, kind of might be, some parts of it might be confusing or difficult, but it's definitely very rewarding in the end when you actually get to install Windows on the computer and use it. And also the second build was just as rewarding. And this is also my first time actually buying more of the parts myself, and of course thanks to that stimulus check, I was able to buy some more computer parts myself. But what I can't wait to do is computer builds in which I actually pick all the parts and buy all the parts myself. I don't get any parts donated to me or by anybody. Like if I actually purchase every part myself and put it together. And then that kind of a computer would be even more rewarding, I feel. But and then this computer, I got the CPU, then the GPU, and the video card, and the RAM were chosen for me. But the motherboard and the SSDs and the case, I picked myself. And kind of in hindsight, I guess there's probably some better things I could buy. Like I could get maybe a different case, but I also was sort of limited a bit by what was available at the time, and of course with the whole human malware situation going on nowadays, it kind of affects what things are in stock. And I would have loved to go to Micro Center, which is, I have one in my area, but it's like, it's just I don't know if they're closed during what's going on nowadays, or so as soon as things calm down, I'd love to go back there. It's like if I could build a new computer shopping from there, that would be quite an experience for me. But I mean, even if you don't have a Micro Center where you live, you have Amazon and Newegg, which are both great to purchase from. And I believe also there's even Best Buy, you could buy computer parts there. But anyway, I feel like this is a good place to end this video. And if you want to see me do other benchmarks of other games or other applications using my new computer, let me know in the comments. And anyway, as for this is Dusty Circuit here. Remember to rate, comment, like, and subscribe. Stay tuned for my next content, and peace out.